Hey, Billy and Mike, what's going on today?
Hey, good morning, guys.
How's it going?
We really wanted to talk today, Darren, about some different things with social media. And one of the thoughts I had was I really wanted to find out how you started with Twitter and how you grew your following and how you did it. Did you use software? Did you do this organically? I mean, you have, 150,000 followers on one account alone?
This is true. And I have even more than that, Mike, as you know, on different niche accounts for different business units or different websites where I'm protecting that brand. That's something we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks. So I'd love to dive right in. I started on Twitter a few years back. I was encouraged by my employer to discontinue use of Twitter. The term that was used was your blogging is a career-limiting move, and later was even referenced as a resume-generating event. So I had terminated that account. I can get you the exact date of it because when I came back to Twitter for round two back in probably May or June of 2008, that name was taken by another gentleman who I am following, and I just picked Williger. But I also set up one for Regillo, Williger being one corporation, Regillo being another. I, of course, set up Darren Williger for my personal brand, as Robert Williger already took that one, of course. And I set up one for meditation, and I set up one called Homemade Wine to talk about winemaking. I set up one called Top Sales Maker to talk about sales. So when I got into Twitter, again, and really got into it, and I'm not going to backdate to why I love it so much. We'll get into that on another call. But I really found value to siloing my personalities online. But then I made a mistake that ended up being the most incredible breakthrough for connecting with others. Guys, this is a lot of fun. I went online as Williger, where I was being a little more serious, and I only spoke about sandwiches I ate. And I love sharing sandwiches. That's my favorite tweet, is the food tweets, as you know.
Let me ask you a question, all right? Before you go on, let me ask you a question. You're saying I set up this account for Regillo, I set up this account for Williger. Explain to us what you're talking about so that everyone watching knows what you mean. I set up this, I set up that. What are you talking about? What did you do?
What I meant when I discussed different Twitter accounts is when you sign up for Twitter, unlike many of the other social nets where you're going to make it mainly around your personality, Twitter has encouraged since the very beginning to be able to do this also for your brand. You can open up multiple accounts. The main rule with Twitter, it's not clearly defined in terms of service, but overall, if you're protecting your brand that you own, your identity, and in my case, I quite often do this to protect even a domain name or a concept or a new product I'm making, of course. This has been phenomenal. So I wanted Regillo as a separate Twitter account, twitter.com/Regillo, to talk just about things from my business persona. Twitter.com/Top Sales Maker, a completely separate account that traditionally you could log in using the web or phone, and I would just tweet about sales. Now, that allowed me to have separate things. So when you go to that Twitter page, you would just read about sales. When you went to my page about meditation, you'd hear about meditation. My page about guitar, you'd learn about guitar. My page about... Did that help answer the question?
Yeah, basically what you're saying is you're building your online personality, which is something that I talk about all the time. You're building the personality for Regillo, for yourself, Williger, and for the different corporations or different personas that you have. You're building those online personalities for each and every one of those. Is that right?
Billy, that's completely correct. Anytime I have something that is going to be exciting, going to be something that I invest my time or want to share with others, I want to make sure that I completely cover my brand profile across as many platforms as I can. Let's share a little bit about where I broke my own mold and discovered quite a bit. And I'll be talking about this endlessly because this is what really opened up a lot of the world to me personally and professionally. So one day, as I'm working on a Merlot in my kitchen, in my homemade wine, I went in, or I think it was a Zinfandel. Got to be accurate here. We're transparent. People could look this up. And I said, I'm working on a Zinfandel in my kitchen. Somebody tweeted back saying, you make wine in your kitchen. Tell me more. I looked at it, and I thought, wow, I can delete this tweet. I put it under the wrong account, but I chose not to. And I left that under Williger. About a week later, perhaps even subconsciously, I tweeted something about sales. It was a comment on making outbound calls and keeping them warm. And I did that also under Williger. And somebody says, talk more about sales. Dell stuff slipped in. My current bio is actually comprised of all the different things that people connected with me on. It was people started asking about Dell, about sales, about meditation, about guitar, about food, about cheese. So I put all those in the bio. I said, these are some of the neatest people I've connected with. Let's be honest, guys. We all met over personal, silly exchanges as well as a professional respect. And for me, when I had the opportunity to connect with y'all and kind of go through and see photos and see the people behind the professional side, and actually there's much more of a personal connection always, and that's kind of paved the way for us to have professional conversations. The whole concept here is this, and this is going to be a little bit intense. So as I shared, the more I put out there of Darren, the more people connected. Now, my traditional mindset, like anyone in corporate America, says you need to be this brand. You're groomed to be this way. Stay in this box. Follow these guidelines. But here was the revelation that I just stumbled into accidentally. The more that I was myself, the more that I was silly, the more that I just shared things about my family, my health, and my interests, the more other people connected. And professionally, I feared people seeing my music videos would be afraid to work with me, but on the contrary.
But Darren, you touched on a very good point, and that is that people have a desire to share and connect, and it's one of the foundational principles behind everything that we see in social media, is we have this desire to share and create and connect, and that's why Wikipedia has taken off, or like citizen journalism, which is a bit of what we're doing here. Being real people, doing what we love to do, and talking about it, and which is how what you've described in the past few minutes.
It's been phenomenal, Mike. And, we all remain very active in the social community. So when I would go out to tweet up social media clubs, etc., people would come up and, hey, Darren, how's your daughter? Hey, I see you did sales. You would know quickly what was most valuable to them, their family, their health, their professional persona. It was an insight that really was interesting, as that's where things really began.
Fascinating, Darren. That's incredible. And so, growing that Twitter following, did you do it then by what you described organically, just sharing who you are?
For the main account, that's kind of it. Constantine studied my Williger account, and he studied a couple other people who have a large following. It's not about the followers, it's about the following. If you're not connecting, it's pointless. And what he noticed was... it wasn't anything particular. He said it wasn't that it was more professional than personal. He said, Darren, you carried on 10 simultaneous conversations on different topics, but you spoke authoritatively on each and enjoyed every single moment of it, and that's why people follow you. Now, that's for me. And I'm silly, and I'll continue to do that. At times, I even would follow people who followed my other ones. Like, oh, you followed me under Darren Williger. Let me follow you here. For my niche accounts, it's a whole different strategy, too, because that's targeted following more along the lines of the Larry system for reaching the handout first for friendship. And I like
we've talked about that book, Never Breathe Alone, with Keith Ferrazzi, and I know, Billy, you're going to be talking about this at the conference, the networking idea and being genuine and networking. Darren, it sounds like you've used Twitter in a genuine way to really connect with people, which has turned into this incredible following that you have. Which is deepen relationships and business relationships as well.
Well, speaking of Keith Ferrazzi, if I might just say this, we talk from time to time about Keith, and Mike has met him. Recently on our Super Mastermind call, we actually were talking a little bit about intimacy, and I noticed that Keith sent out an email this week to his list speaking about intimacy and the importance of intimacy, and I think that's what Darren is saying right now. Is, that intimacy of someone getting to know your persona, know who you are, that also transcends everything that we're doing in business, and it also goes over into business, doesn't it, Darren?
More than ever before. I've had people reach out to me who I'll show up for a business appointment and they tell me that they love the sushi pics or they really enjoyed that I took them to the zoo with me. And it's so fun when people find these odd little things to connect with, but that's how relationships connect. It's that tapestry.
I love the sushi. I love the sushi, man. You got to come back with the sushi. You put that burden, that mantle is on me. I haven't been carrying it as well as I should.
It's beyond the location-based stuff like Foursquare or Whirl or any of those. You're actually not just saying where you are, but what you're doing and why you're there and your interests about it. That's what makes it compelling and fun.
Yeah, and I think that in social media, the location-based doesn't matter, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go to a tweet up, it matters. But in social media, like this morning, I had a message from a guy in Croatia, you know. I'm not in Croatia. I'm in Texas, you know.
And that's interesting in itself. It's like almost a whole new breed of celebrity. I'm talking to that gentleman on the radio, and to him, it's admirable to see what's going on. And he's got an awesome following with his radio. Billy, you touched on something I want to roll with a little bit further, and that's that we no longer have geographical boundaries. In every room of my home, I do have a screen I use for video conferencing. Many people would use similar screens to watch television, but I learned they have HDMI inputs on them. They work just as well with Skype and Ubo. I enjoy that when I go to my kitchen, there's often another family cooking in their kitchen in India. When I go to my office, I speak directly with my outsourced teams through video. Regillo, we are always on Skype. There is a Regillo chat with 6 people that anytime they're available, they jump in and just start chatting. But the beauty of it, for me to share, it's not just about professional. It is personal, and they're connecting about music, and everyone's chatting. And it's rather addictive.
Yeah.
I find myself looking at this sometimes until 3 a.m. because seeing this interaction is beautiful. Now, once that happens, guys, what's the next level? Once you have interaction and relationships, you could start to relate and you could start to build trust. And trust is what allows us as human beings to have that feeling of security and confidence when doing business. So that moves to the whole idea of, Billy, I need to get someone to put in carpet. Well, Darren, call Steve. He's good at carpet. Now take that and translate that to what we're doing on Facebook and in Twitter and how we're able to communicate and share our network of resources better than ever. It has to be this way going forward because otherwise you're going to fall behind. The truth is we know that people we know are people who are going to know people we want to know. That's the whole thing we're talking about, and it is so simple. It's as easy as saying, I trust Mike, I trust Billy. Anybody they refer to me already has inherited some trust. And that's the whole difference about how social business is changing fundamentally how we do things. You can't do it any other way. Why would you not want to get that reference from a buddy? Why would you not want to hear that your community yelped positively about a place you're about to do business with? How could you?
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Drugs are good.
Yes.